Good morning and happy Saturday, you guys. It is Amanda and Barron with Kickin Cancer Cares on KSLM Radio, 104.3 FM and 1220 AM. Our sponsor for this first half is Oddmo's Pizza. I've got them up on my screen behind me. And I've had a lot of naughty food lately with camping and doing all the things. So I think I'm going to pick up a Green Monster and get back to just the yummy veggies and get down to the roots of it.
That is your go-to pizza.
It is just my feel-good pizza, or maybe the Reggie Veggie, maybe a half and halfer.
Something that's got lots of vegetables on top of it.
Yes. Give me all the vegetables and feed my body. So thanks, huge shout out to Oddmo's. And if you have not had them yet, go check them out.
Yes. So Ricky was here last week.
Yes.
And we talked about Reiki. Was that enlightening for you?
Yeah, just how I'm very curious to see how it's done.
Okay.
And just how she can do it mobily, or I guess through Zoom even, and how it can help soothe your body and all of that. It was very intriguing.
Yeah. Well, our guest Sarah is back again. And I don't know if you noticed a second ago, but she was kind of giving a little demonstration there.
Okay.
It's a very hand energy-driven modality, isn't it?
It is.
And it goes where the energy, where it needs it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's really intriguing to me.
Mm-hmm. Are you, I know you're familiar with Reiki. Are you a Reiki master yourself?
I'm a Reiki level 2. So
okay.
Not a Reiki master, but yes, I do distance Reiki and in-person Reiki.
See,
I know
that's
Reiki.
Cool that you could do it from the distance. That's what's like, that's awesome, because you can help people near and far.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And she has an events coming up with, well, I guess it's already happened now, but the Strawberry Moon event.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
So lots of fun stuff that Ricky does when it comes to Reiki.
Yes.
I love her. She's great. Yeah.
Well, in our foods, we're actually with Swiss chard. Are you familiar with Swiss chard?
No, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you see the picture, it looks a lot like spinach. It actually cooks a lot like spinach. Mm-hmm. It's a dark, leafy green. Swiss chard is dense with nutrition. Just 1 cup gives you your daily recommended amounts of vitamin A and K. It also puts you well on your way to getting the full of vitamin C and E.
Wow.
So
okay,
tons
loaded.
and tons, yeah. 2 antioxidants that may decrease your chance of getting a host of chronic diseases. So it says you can add it to soup, stews, mix it onto a salad, top it onto a pizza. Lots of ways you can eat Swiss chard.
Many. All
yeah.
right.
So there's our food for this week.
Okay, thank you.
So I want to circle back to something we did with Sarah last time she was here. We had referenced this book that was gifted to me by Mary Ann McNally.
That's right, yes.
Anti-Cancer, A New Way of Living. And it mentions 4 new approaches. 3 of them we've talked a lot about. One of them is guarding against imbalances in our environment. Mm-hmm. We've talked about things that aren't out of our control, but, for example, sunscreen.
Right.
And being aware of what you're putting on your body when it comes to those things. Adjusting our diet. You mentioned what you're doing with the foods.
Yeah.
Another one in here is to stimulate, find ways to reduce inflammation by stimulating your immune system. Mm-hmm. But the one that is not talked about a lot, I know that Sarah's got some good thoughts on this one, is how do we heal from psychological wounds?
Okay.
Your thoughts on psychological wounds, Sarah?
Yeah, it's funny. I read a lot about this all the time and in my training, but everyone has them. Like, everybody will come to me at first. They're like, oh, yeah, like my childhood was really great. There were just like a few things that happened. And then we remember that we learn emotions, good, bad, and ugly, between 0 and 7. And that means there's wounds from our family systems, our school life, our neighborhoods, all these different things. And we carry that as we continue through life. And we have kind of misrepresentations of emotions and feelings. And maybe we don't feel worthy of love, or we don't feel worthy of connection or taking up space. And when we have those filters, our interactions in life are reinforcing those negative filters. So when we carry those things and carry those things and we carry those things, it's like putting a drop of black dye in water. All the water turns black. It doesn't stay in one spot. So as you continue to bump into humans doing human things in our world, you might add more and more black dye to your metaphysical pot of water.
Okay.
And until you clear that out, you're gonna make yourself sick. Like, we'll just cut to the chase right here. You're gonna make yourself sick in a myriad of ways, including and up to cancer, if not other things. So there's a lot more to it, and I know I tend to be a little long-winded in my answers, but really we under-address mental health care in a lot of ways because it looks different for everybody, but it's present for everybody.
Yes.
Well, inside the book, it talks about some doctors back in the 80s that were bringing this up. And in the 80s, I think they were crazy that there could actually be a psychological connection between your mind and your body. But over time, it became a bigger and bigger issue. And there are actually now oncologists that deal with the psychological part of the cancer and how your mind is working alongside your body. So I guess a definition of psychological wounds, I love the definition you just gave us. There are several studies that are referenced in here, and we were talking a little bit off air about this rat study. Can you elaborate again on that rat study?
Oh gosh, okay. So this rat study. So they made this Rattopia where all their needs were met. They had all their food, they had their bedding, they had all this space. But because they didn't have just like the challenge of foraging, the challenge of finding shelter, they eventually turned to warfare and drama and like started killing each other, which is so sad. I love rodents, so I was like, oh, this study is rough. And thankfully they don't do so many studies like this anymore. But the idea was that humans are problem solvers as well, right? We cross-contextualize. So humans like to problem solve, rats like to problem solve, and we like to be stimulated and challenged. We don't like to have everything just handed to us. That might be fun for a vacation for a week or 2 weeks maybe, but eventually we'll yearn for that challenge, those things to overcome and accomplish. And that looks different for everybody, but these poor rats are a good representation of humans and our nature to grow and change and progress. So,
right.
Yeah. There was another interesting rat study they did in here, similar to what she's mentioning, but they had actually introduced tumors into the rats.
Oh.
To see how the rats would respond.
Yeah.
Okay. And they broke into 3 groups. The one group was what they call the control group. So nothing occurred with that group.
Right.
The second group, they had a little electrical shock that was given to the rodents. And every time they got the shock, but they had no way to get away from the shock. And so it became a sense of helplessness that they couldn't get away from the shock. And that group had like a 23% response to the tumors.
Oh.
With the third group, they gave them that shock, but then the rodents began to figure out there's a lever they could push to stop the shock from happening.
Okay.
And that group had a much higher response to the tumor than the group that was the control group. So I think the gist of it is that we look for ways to control our environment. And when there becomes a sense of hopelessness within our environment, then it's harder for our body to respond to that.
Okay.
Makes
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
Poor rats.
I know.
Putting them through it.
Rats always seem to be the gist of the test, but that was kind of what's happening with those rats.
That's interesting, but it makes sense completely.
Yeah. I know that when Brenda went through her treatment, they had her taking some psychological tests, right, to deal with it. And it's that sense of empowerment that people begin to get as they're going through the journey is how do I take this challenge on?
Right, yeah.
With what you do in your other lines of work, how do you help people find these psychological wounds?
Yeah, so there's a couple different processes. I wanted to mention The Body Keeps Score. It's a great book. It's not a light read, but it's a great book on that mind-body connection. So I'm somatically certified, so I can see how things are showing up in your body and what shoulder pain might mean, etc. And we get to talk about what intuition is telling us that could be connected to and how to resolve it. And root cause coaching. So root cause coaching is a tool to bust through the conscious layers of you telling me what you think I might want to hear into subconscious answers where 95% of behavior, 95 to 98% of behavior shows up. So when we get down into those subconscious answers with a really easy series of questions that are very repetitive on purpose, our subconscious starts spitting these things out, right? So I mentioned earlier, people are like, oh, my childhood was pretty good. well, turns out their dad never spent any time with them, and how that manifested is they now neglect their family, and there's this guilt cycle that they're wanting to hop out of, but they don't know how because they haven't seen another way, right? They haven't had that modeled. So we're creating these new neural pathways, even in the root cause coaching, so they see a possibility and a chance for change. And then there's positive feelings about change, right? Because if I just ask you to change your whole life and change all your behavior and like change everything you're doing, you bump up against your comfort zone. But if we can see that there is a possibility to build a bridge to that new outcome, you're gonna have a lot more hope about creating that change.
Yes.
Does that make sense, Amanda?
Yeah, it does.
Any thoughts, any questions for her on this subject?
I like the bridge reference because it's when you build that bridge, it's easier than, because I'm somebody that does not do well with change. Good change, bad change, fun change, scary change, it's all a no for me. But when you say it like that, where you build a bridge so that it's an easier hop over, that I like that.
Yeah.
Do you have some examples of people that have done well with this in their lives?
Yeah, so I'm about 4,000 hours deep with my clients at this point, so I have many examples. I'm going to pick one so that it's going to be vague enough that the person won't know who I'm talking about. So I have had many people in the last 6 months come into my office and say that they don't feel worthy of love. It's not that they weren't shown love at some point in their life. Most people have been shown love at least once in their life. It's that they don't feel worthy of it, right? And when you don't feel worthy of it, if I were to like give you this rock that I brought you from Crestone, you'd be like, oh, I don't know, like that's too big a gift, you know, like you would push it away. And the rock is a benign example, but people push love away all the time in many ways, right? I'll pay you a compliment, you'll brush it off, right? Like you might not, but people don't often let that love in. As much as I'm willing to show love and help others, people were not willing to let that come to, back in within. And so we got down to the why, which was different for all of them, whether it be a parent, a loved one, a relationship that went sideways. They were told by someone, you have to beg for my love, or you're not worthy of it unless you do XYZ, right? This performative based love. And these are all people that have hurt them that are in their own hurts, right? Hurting people hurt people. So when you get down to the root cause, the first time that they felt they weren't worthy of love, and you clear that up, that first incident, using timeline therapy, you clear up all the future times, the gestalt of emotions where they continue to not feel worthy of love. And then they can feel it. They can let it in. They can look themselves in the mirror and say, I love you, and maintain their own eye contact, right? They can receive gifts and loves and acts of service and all these different love languages from people and let that in, right? Not keep it out here where it's not safe. So yeah, really getting down into the first time, clearing up the incidences on the way back to now, and then testing it, right? Asking, like, do you feel worthy of love? And they'll see their whole face change, their whole affect change. There's often tears. There's a big emotional release. And tears, those sort of tears are actually proof that your soul is shifting. So they've done studies on those sort of tears. They're different.
That your soul is shifting.
Yeah. Those tears, those transformative tears are scientifically very different than like laughing tears or like, oh, I broke my toe tears.
Right.
So
cool.
Yeah, you can look at them under a microscope. It's really neat.
I didn't realize you could actually analyze tears under a microscope.
That's cool.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I could just see the real value for people as they get this cancer diagnosis, and where do I go with this next, and how did I get this, and how these wounds have just kind of carried with them for so many years, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, most people since they were before 7. So if you're 55, that's 98% of your life,
right?
Like it's a huge thing. Yeah.
So you mentioned before 7. Is that a very common age for these problems to begin to occur?
Yeah. So we learn emotions before 7, like all emotions, good, bad, ugly, all emotions. So we learn those before 7, and then reinforcing events or significant emotional events happen after that.
Okay.
But everything as far as how we relate with love or anger or sadness, grief, all these things, it's before 7. So people will be like, oh yeah, like I had a boyfriend break up with me when I was 16. I'm like, pretty sure you didn't feel worthy of love at some point before 16, right. Whether it be, parental disapproval or whatever we internalize, right? It probably wasn't a huge deal. Could have been. But it's how our brain decided to feel safe or not safe.
Okay.
Yeah. So how do you think all this can relate to how our body is, how the cells in our body are responding when it comes to cancer?
Yeah. So Think about, I'll just use like an example we probably all heard, like a woman especially might say like, oh, I just don't like how my body looks. I don't like my stomach. I don't like my legs, whatever. But you're literally speaking death over your body. So what I say is I love my belly. I love my body. I love my eyes that are healing. Like I love anywhere that I feel pain or discomfort or I'm maybe uncomfortable with, I will send love to that area. So kind of like the Reiki, right? We're sending that love to the Reiki or through the Reiki. But when we send it to ourselves, we're shifting. You can see this in the cells and the brain scans. We're shifting our neurology. We're shifting our cell structure. We're shifting our ability to connect with self and therefore connect with others. So it's really, really important to, instead of, in my opinion, instead of getting really angry with the cancer, although that might be a normal response, to shift that to I'm sending healing love to my body, wherever that is, right? I'm sending growth and abundance of all good things to my body. It's like talking to your houseplants, right? Yeah. Like they've done studies on that. What music you play for your houseplants, how you speak to your houseplants. If your houseplants know where you are 2 kilometers away, your body definitely knows how you speak about it and what energy you send to it.
And it's the power of the words that you're using for yourself.
Well, if you're negative about anything, it's going to put you in a dark space.
Yes.
Across the board.
Right.
But if you're positive and you're happy about it and you speak light into it, then that can only send you down a positive path.
Yeah. I mean, there's literally an entire chapter in this book about the anti-cancer mind and how it relates to the cells and how the thought processes are involved in that when it comes to cancer.
Yeah.
I know that many people that I have met, I remember when I worked at Costco years ago, there was this young man that worked alongside me, and his father had developed stomach cancer. And as opposed to having any kind of support system around him, it was easy for him to just kind of go back into his shell and not deal with anybody. And he didn't last very long.
Right.
So
isolated himself.
So that support system around you is just such a critical thing. You think about Marianne that gave me this book. She was so involved in her support community. She got many, many more years out of that.
Oh, yeah.
I really want to bring that up about this anti-cancer mind and how it works alongside what we've got going on.
Okay.
And really kind of Sarah's thoughts on that and that root cause coaching that goes alongside this topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the other one I want to bring up inside the book is they've actually got in here the proof of the mind body, and they gave an example of a psychiatrist that did this work in Yale University, and they had different women that were involved in this, and once they began having those positive thoughts, their cancer rates dropped, their recovery improved tremendously.
Right.
So it just wonderful, wonderful section. I mean, here's a great picture here of the cells as they're responding to the work that's going on there. I am really intrigued with your root cause coaching that you were talking about. How do you help somebody figure out what that initial problem was?
Yeah, so I can tell by visual acuity. So if I asked you, when was the first time you felt hurt? Your brain might go to the most recent time you felt hurt. Maybe you stubbed your toe. Sorry to keep picking on you. It's just on my mind. We're talking about toes earlier. Ashley's toe. Yeah, poor toe. So I might ask, when was the first time you felt hurt? And your brain might remember the most recent time and say, oh, I stubbed my toe. I would see in your face that doesn't have a lot of emotional charge, right? Okay. You're like, dang, that happened. That was a bummer. I stubbed my toe. But you're not like turning inward, right? Your face isn't tightening. You're not avoiding eye contact.
There's
body language.
There's a lot of body language. Yeah, and a lot of eye pattern stuff. So there's an eye pattern for when you're making something up. There's an eye pattern for when you're remembering. There's an eye pattern for when you subconsciously like shift. I can see this little REM-like eye movement when someone shifts patterns. So I can tell by visual acuity if we're going deep enough. And most times, like I said earlier, we're going to get back to a time where something happened before 7. Very rarely do big emotions have any kind of root cause after that. Limiting decisions, so things where I can't recover from cancer, or this is the end, those sort of limiting decisions, you're all free from that, listeners and people here. But if you have those things, that might have started later, right? That might have started after 7. But as far as big emotions that lead to big traumas, little traumas, I got to get back before 7, or at least 8, right? Like at least right around there.
Right.
But
does that take a long process to get somebody to that phase?
No, it's pretty quick, because I can I can ask questions. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm torturing my clients. It's fairly quick process because I don't need the whole story around it. I just need to know when it happened so we have a place to go while we're doing the coaching. So usually it's about 15 or 20 minutes per big emotion to really get down to where they first felt that and what they wanted to feel instead in that moment. So if you were, if you felt neglected by your father and that made you sad, and we get back to like that happened the first time when I was like 4 or 5, well, then I immediately ask, what do you want to feel instead? So that the brain knows, oh, what did I want in that moment? Because you probably never asked yourself that. You probably never asked, what did I want to feel instead? What did I need instead? Because what you needed instead is what you need now to resolve it. Mm-hmm. Because your brain just keeps that neural pathway. It just kept it until now. And so if you needed love, for example, if you needed peace, right, in that moment, that's what your brain needs now in order to flip the script and create a new neural pathway. And there's probably a few more positive emotions that your brain needs to really let that go. So it becomes a memory, not a filter.
Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Any questions on that?
No, just soaking it all in. I'm listening.
Yeah, I know that I've had a chance to go through some of the stuff you're talking about, and it's very intriguing as you're going back through these events, how you begin to remember things in the event that you didn't even think about before.
Oh, I just replayed one in my head as you were walking through it. It was like, there it was.
Yeah.
There, Yeah. So, absolutely.
Yeah.
Takes you back to it all.
And your subconscious only presents what it's ready to resolve. So your brain will take you to the place where it wants resolution, and I support my clients through that so that it's not this tumultuous 5 hours of crying, right? Like, we're not doing that.
Right,
we're going to create those new neural pathways. And it's just like unlocking keys, right? We're going to unlock those keys in order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I really wanted to bring that to attention of this
well, hold on. If somebody wants to go to you and find that root cause to fix all of that, how would they get in touch with you?
Sure. So there's a couple different ways. I'm all over social media. So if you go to Sarah Mattson Community on Instagram, so SarahMattson Community on Instagram, all one word, you can DM me there. You can shoot me an email. So Mattson, Matson.sarah@gmail.com, Sarah with H. Those are the best ways to reach out. I will connect with you within 24 hours if you reach out one of those ways, and we'll set up a time. Like, it's my gift to the viewers today, 30 minutes, just talk about what's going on, what's most important, and what they want resolution on. And then we can go from there and see what a good moving forward path is.
Awesome. And if you guys didn't catch that email or Instagram, just reach out to me, Amanda@kslm.news, and I will get you all over.
And I think the key is just to take that first step.
Yeah.
And have that first conversation and see where it goes from there. And if it's something that's not going to settle well with you, then that's okay too. Mm-hmm. But at least you've got the conversation started, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's why we rely on people like Ricky, right? Reiki is a great place to start. There's lots of modalities that can help people begin to release those things. I just know that for me, the experience I had, the experience that you've had with NLP, using this root cause coaching, integrative medicine says it is the most effective form of mental health treatment. And that's pretty exciting to be on the cutting edge of what's creating massive resolution for people in a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Western medicine has actually recognized this as a modality is a huge deal.
Huge. Yeah.
So. Yeah. Well, that was the big thing I wanted to bring from the book, was this one particular topic.
Yeah.
And bring it back up with Sarah as a way to enlighten our listeners on mind-body connection and where we can go from that.
Yes, I love it. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah. The other topic I wanted to hit on in here was, I just lost it, was meditation and how people while they're in laboratories, are utilizing meditation as a way to help themselves.
Okay.
I think
in laboratories?
Well, in the
like in the study,
like in the studies while they're using the meditation, and how the cells are responding to meditation, and how meditation is calming those cells back down to get very, very vital information. So all amazing stuff that has come out of this book, and I really an amazing addition to what we've got going on within the Kickin Cancer.
Well, another amazing thing is Odd Mo's Pizza.
Oh my goodness!
Like I said, I'm craving. I think I'm actually going to do the Veggie, where it's just got all the veggies on it. I don't know, Green Monster actually maybe.
They're both singing your praises, aren't they?
So good. Have you ever had Oddmo's?
I haven't. No, I went to the other place you guys recommended last time, though.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was really good.
Both phenomenal.
Yeah.
And Oddmo's, they've got desserts, they've got salads, they've got pastas, they've got wings, they've got everything. They have all the good things. So if you guys don't have dinner plans or lunch plans, definitely check them out. They deliver, or you can order and go pick it up, easy peasy. So, but huge shout out to Mike, because he's been sponsoring us since the very, very beginning.
Very beginning.
So we would not be able to broadcast these podcasts and radio show without his help. So thank you so much, Mike. And you guys go support him and buy some yummy, yummy pizza. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned.